How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of Strictly Nintendo where you're going to have to label me a fanboy because I love Splatoon. So let's dive in and see exactly what the game has to offer. Now, the graphics are beautiful. You know, you have those solid classic Nintendo style models, you have great detail, you have vibrant colors that just pop off the screen. If I had a major complaint, Nintendo, you need to learn what anti-aliasing is. But other than that, I absolutely love the way the game looks. It's just so much fun. And then you have the audio, which fits the feel and the look of the game so well. Crisp, clean, detailed audio, sound effects. The music is great. It's upbeat and vibrant and fits the game. And I just love listening to it, which is exactly why I did my cover or my pseudo cover of the theme song. And all of this well-produced, well-polished, and developed aspects that we come to know and love from Nintendo carries over to the controls as well. You have the classic controls where the left analog stick moves you forward, back, left, and right, and the right analog stick makes you look up, down, left, and right. Now, I like a hybrid where I use the motion controls. Now, with the motion controls, you tilt the gamepad up, down, left, and right to look. But I actually like to look left and right with the right analog stick and up and down with the tilt controls, and that's just me, but you can fine tune the camera sensitivity and really get it to play the way that you want to play it. Overall, very well produced, very well developed. It's every bit of what we expect from Nintendo, and I dare say not just on the same level of Mario Kart 8, but I actually think I like this game even more than Mario Kart 8. And there are four main aspects to this game, and we're going to start off by looking at the campaign mode. Now, in the campaign mode, your Inkling is recruited by Captain Cuttlefish as Agent 3, and you're tasked with the mission to defeat the Octarians and save the Great Zapfish. It's a very simple storyline, but the fun aspect of it is how it's presented to you. When you cut on the game for the first time, as with any time you cut on the game, you're presented with a newscast. And the hostesses, Callie and Mari, that's right, Calamari, they report that the Great Zapfish has gone missing. And this is of concern because that's how Inkopolis is powered. So now it's your job to save the Great Zapfish. And well, the rest of the story is revealed through your communications with Captain Cuttlefish and Agent 1 and Agent 2. As well as there's hidden scrolls throughout the multiple levels throughout the 5 worlds that tell you even more history. Not just the history of the Inklings and the Octarians and their relationship, but the history of the world before they were the main inhabitants. So it's just an interesting way that the story is told, but the main point of the campaign is really to teach you the game and give you the skills needed to really have that edge when you go to play online. I highly recommend actually playing the campaign before you jump online because you're going to have more of a competitive edge and you're going to be more comfortable with the game. You have these really creative levels which are very reminiscent of Super Mario Galaxy that have these interesting obstacles that you have to traverse, and it really teaches you the mechanics of how to move your character through the environments, both in the humanoid form and the squid form. And then you have a variety of enemies which will teach you the ins and outs of your weapons, the strengths and the weaknesses of your main weapon, your sub-weapons, and your special weapons, when and when not to utilize them. You have simple enemies, you have armored enemies, you even have Octolings, which are the Octarian versions of the Inklings, and on those levels, it really gives you a sense of what the game's like to play online, so it's really about training. And then you have the bosses, which they'll take the skills that you've learned so far and put them to the test, and you have to figure out their patterns and figure out the puzzles on how to defeat them, and it just adds a nice challenge to the game all the way up to the final boss, which really tests all of the mechanics and your ability to apply them properly. It's just a blast, and definitely something worth experiencing. Next, we have the Battle Dojo. Now, Battle Dojo is 1v1 local multiplayer where the first player plays on the gamepad and the second player plays on the Pro Controller, but you can strap a Wii remote to the Pro Controller so that the second player can use tilt controls, and that's a neat discovery from the Nintendo development team. But this is a great way to just have fun with a friend, family member, or significant other, keep your skills sharp, as well as devise new strategies. And then we come to the plaza. Now, this is the hub of Inkopolis and where you're going to access the different aspects of the game, whether it's the lobby for multiplayer, the campaign mode, the battle dojo, the various shops. There's also the Amiibo challenge section, where you use your Amiibos to unlock special challenges where you replay campaign levels, but with different weapons, and this forces you to adapt, and that's just a fun thing. Now, when in the plaza, the gamepad screen shows a top-down map of the plaza, and you have everything listed out on buttons that you can just tap onto, and you'll instant travel to those locations. Now, in the plaza, you also have the shops, and this is where you're going to outfit your Inkling with the gear to give yourself the competitive edge and the playing experience that you want. You first have the weapon shop, where you buy all your weapons. You get more weapons unlocked as you level up in multiplayer mode, and there are blueprint scrolls that you'll find in the campaign, which will unlock mods to current weapons, so that's even more of an incentive to play the campaign mode so you can unlock more weapons to take with you in battle. But the coolest thing about the weapon shop is you can actually try them before you buy it, so you can evaluate a weapon and know whether it's going to lend itself to your playing style and the experience you want, and that makes buying weapons even cooler. Of course, each weapon comes with different stats as well as sub-weapons and special weapons, so you're going to want to take that into consideration as well. And then we get to the apparel shops. You have the headgear, the shirts, and the shoes. And each one of these different pieces of apparel have a different core attribute. Some of them will have sub-attributes which you can unlock through playing multiplayer, but those sub-attributes are actually random generation, so you don't know what's going to happen, what you're going to get when you level up in one of those sub-attributes. So you're really going to want to focus on the main attribute so that you can have the outfit and the setup that will give you the competitive edge that you want when you're playing the game. And all of this is accessible through the equipment button on the lower left-hand corner of the gamepad screen, which brings up all of your gear on the main screen and allows you to fine-tune your setup for when you're ready to go into battle. Now, there's two other aspects to the plaza, and that's first to talk to Judd the cat, who doesn't just judge the online rounds, but also gives you tips and tricks on how you can improve your skills in playing online, as well as, if you're doing really well, he'll give you a cash bonus so you can even buy more gear, which is always a plus. And then when Nintendo holds Splatfest and other special events, you'll be able to sign up for those right in the plaza as well. And this brings us to the focus of the game, and that is the online multiplayer. Now, currently there are two different modes to play, but there are more coming down the pipeline. The first mode is Ranked Battle. In Ranked Battles, you have a specific section or sections that your team has to maintain control of by covering that space with your ink for the longest period of time. Now, if you can control that space for the full 100 seconds, then you get a knockout and you get a nice hefty bonus. And this will allow you to level up very fast. Now, you have to be a level 10 before you can get into ranked battles, but once you get to level 10, I highly suggest playing ranked battles to get up to max level of 20 as quickly as possible. Now, the neat thing about ranked battle is depending on how well or poorly you're doing, that increases or decreases your rank, and you can fall just as quickly as you can rise, and in some cases you can fall faster. But the cool thing is that you're never teamed with anybody who's of greater or lesser rank, so you really have a nice balance to this game mode that I thoroughly enjoy, and it's definitely worth playing. But the other mode is Turf Wars, and that's my favorite mode. And in Turf Wars, the whole point is to cover a larger percentage of the map with your team's ink. Now, in doing so, when your team wins, you get a 300-point bonus on top of all the points that you accumulated during gameplay. So you're definitely going to want to go out of your way to cover every inch of the map. And you're also going to want to reclaim turf by covering the other team's ink. All of this is going to build up points as well as charge your special weapon, and you're going to want to use your main, sub, and special weapons to your advantage, and this is where all that training from the campaign mode comes into play. Now, during an online game, the gamepad screen shows a map of the course that you're playing on, and you can view the icons for your teammates to know where they are, as well as tap on them to super jump to them. So if you just got splatted, this is a great way to get right back in the action. Or if you see someone by themselves, this is a great way to give them reinforcements. And you can also see the spreading of the opponent team's ink. Now, you can't tell where the opponent team players are, but it's one of those things that if you see some ink coming this way, you know to come back here, and when they cut the corner, you're behind them, you take them out, and you reclaim that turf. Or if you have a ink strike and you see them coming up, you tap on the gamepad screen, and that's where your ink strike is going to hit, and you could possibly take out a lot of their players and reclaim that turf. Now, the game is not without its issues. I love it, but there are some things that can be improved. First and foremost, you're going to run into communication errors with the server, whether it's when you first get into the lobby or whether you're in the middle of a gameplay. It's happening less and less, so it seems like Nintendo is on it and they're really trying to, maintain their servers and solve these issues. On average, I might have seen it once every hour, hour and a half. It's not that major of a deal. If you get booted, you just reconnect and you're back into the game. It doesn't happen often, but it's worth noting. The next issue that I have is with how the teams are selected. Now, it's completely random, and I like that, but there are times where, like, say, you have a team that has 3 or 4 people with rollers, and I hate that weapon. It's so OP, and that gives an unfair advantage. As well as there's been times where I've been on a team where it's, 18 and 20 levels, and then the other team is level 10 and less, and it's stacked against them, and I think that that's unfair. It's easy to play in games where it's stacked against you or stacked in your favor, and I really find the most fun games to be where there's that balance, and it's really a push of who wants it more, who gets that last second push and that last little, even 0.5% of ink coverage that gives you the win. Those are the really fun games. So I think there needs to be a safeguard in there that better helps balance it a little bit more in how the teams are constructed. The next issue I have is that in rotation, there's only 2 courses that are playable. Now, with the way that the teams are randomly selected, each game is very different. So it's not that it gets very stale, but after like 3 or 4 times of playing the same level, you're like, can we please play the other map? Just even if it's for 1 round. So I would like to see where they have 3 maps in rotation at each time. And lastly is the lack of in-game chat. Now, I'm going to sound a little contradictory here because there's an aspect to not having in-game chat, which unintendedly actually makes the game better. Hear me out. I play a lot of online. I've played a ton of online shooters, and I communicate. I'm typically playing with my friends or my family members, and we're communicating, and we have our tasks, we have our strategy, and we follow it. Sometimes it works to our advantage, sometimes it doesn't, but you get tunnel visioned. By not having in-game chat, it forces you to be aware of everything. It gives you situational awareness. It's one of those things that's like, you see 2 team members here, you see a team member here. Do you jump to them and give them reinforcement, or do you run up the center, get the other team's attention, be that sacrifice so when they funnel in and take you out, your team pounces on them? Or do you see your team moving forward and there's another guy coming this way, so you come up and you get behind him, take him out, reclaim that land? Or did your team take somebody out, they're pushing forward to the other team's respawn zone, but there's still plenty of the other team's ink here, so you stay back and you reclaim that land and you get the points that help you level up, but at the same time get that coverage that helps your team win. As same thing as, like I said, if you have an ink strike, where are you going to place that? So it makes you more aware of everything that's going on and honestly ends up making the game fun. However, with that being said, I'd still like to see friend chat. But despite the flaws that I see in the game, for a first online-centric shooter from Nintendo, they crushed it out of the park. This is just a blast to play, and even when you're having a bad day and you're getting wrecked, you're still having fun. And I think it's the fact that you're not inundated constantly with violence, blood, and gore. Don't get me wrong, I love violent and gory video games, but there's something about seeing these vibrant colors that really just makes the game put a smile on your face, and even when you're losing, you're still having a blast. I see this being a lively title throughout the rest of the life of the Wii U, and honestly, I'd like to see it become a franchise. I want to see more of these and see where it can expand to and where it can grow to and where it can go overall. It's just so much fun. They captured all of the core elements of a shooter, of an online team deathmatch game with all the chaos, all the adrenaline, all the competitiveness, but in a way that's just charming, and it's quite odd. For me, if you're into shooters, especially ones that have a unique, refreshing twist to them, as well as has the elements of a unique platformer with this different movement abilities between the humanoid and the squid, this is a game that is a must-own in my opinion. It seems to be selling just flying off the shelves, And there's a very good reason for that. So this is a game that I highly, highly recommend. And I don't know what else to say. It's just an absolute blast. And I can't wait. Hopefully, when the matchmaker mode comes out, I'll be able to set up events and play with all of you, and we can have some fun as well. But that will do it for this episode of Strictly Nintendo. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Until then, stay fresh.